Yeah, some days I feel unfazed, like when I'm with my friends with a cup raised. Come Monday, I got a gun raised. Suicidal, do or die until hump day. Then I go right back at it like an automatic. More drinks, more songs, more beats to rap. I need a shrink, I'm gone. More time keeps passing. No watch, no thoughts at all. Just a hat, new era. Rep my P's and those O's. Need the Phillies with the orange and black to feel home. From Citizens Bank back to Camden Yards. It's a tale of two cities, and trust we go hard. Trust we go hard. Yes, we go hard. You said we go hard. I said we go hard. Rockin' my Bob Cousy, stocking up on the loose. Think the lyrics come easy, but the life is a doozy. And yes, I'm choosy, and no, I won't settle, but I still take pop off over that kettle, cause I'm talking bigger picture. And yes, I'm gonna hit you with the...
Yo, what is poppin', residents of the Mysta clan, Leader 6 here with another video. We're finally getting back to a really old series from the start of this channel, like back all the way in January, December. What if Naruto had multiple personalities? A series where I basically give Naruto a struggle for control over his dark self. And this part we get into an interesting concept, which is going to make a great next part, because next time we're going to be getting into a lot of stuff surrounding the Dark Naruto story arc. So yeah, if you have not yet, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell notification to get notified when we post other videos. So without further ado, let's get this started. Naruto now lays exhausted after days of training with Team 7. It's been about a month since they got together, and it's been about 3 weeks since Kakashi had started working on their individual skill. He thinks, why'd I have to blabber my mouth about saying that I need to become a medical shinobi and all? As he gets flashbacks to the training. So much chakra control. So many difficult tasks, so much focus. He feels like he had barely slept this entire time. Grateful to be laying on his bed finally, as he dozes off. In the middle of the night, he enters his mindscape and sees two figures. One shadowed, giant nine-tailed fox, and another clone of himself. Black eyes, red pupils, droopy hair, that walks up to him and grabs him by the collar. Now, it's time for me to take my body back. Naruto, frightened beyond belief, will fall over, basically pedaling back in the sewer waters, trying to avoid this dark version of himself, who dashes forward, kicking him, saying, "Give me my body back." But Naruto would not let up. He'd quickly find his feet and find himself in a brawl with his dark self. Eventually, getting the short stick, as he could barely stand up. He feels himself fade out of consciousness, but what this really is him exiting his mindscape, waking up in the real world. He clamps his heart as he thinks, what just happened? As he runs down the hall, hoping that Hiruzen had not yet left for the day. Luckily, he had not. He'd quickly tell Hiruzen what happened, putting Hiruzen in some distress. Naruto had not been in this state for a couple of years. But, whatever. They need him to meditate, as they tell Naruto this. Naruto knows that this dark form of himself had not come out in a long time, but has attempted so every single day of his existence. Naruto would now skip complete days of training, just sitting, meditating. In his mindscape, he will pop in and out, battling himself. Barely sleeping, barely eating. He'd eventually grow malnourished, as Team 7 decides to go check up on him. When they do eventually find him, they just see him sitting there, and after hours of trying to wake him up, they could not get him to speak. When Hiruzen would make his way back to the Sarutobi compound, seeing them talking to Naruto. He heavily sighs as he blows from his pipe, walking up to the team of Sakura, Sasuke, and Kakashi, prepared to explain to them why Naruto is like this and why he hasn't been to any training sessions. He starts the long, tedious story of how someone he once knew had so much chakra that it had formed a negative version of themselves, and then would eventually relay that Naruto also seems to have this happen to him. Now that it's explained, they would start to ask questions, like what's this other Naruto like? With Hiruzen saying, everyone who Naruto loves is hated by him. Everyone who Naruto hates is allied by him. This being wants the opposite of what Naruto does, and is most likely partnered with the Nine Tails. This would aghast Sasuke and Sakura, but not Kakashi, for he had already known, as Hiruzen then once again sighs, forgetting that most do not know that Naruto is the Nine Tails Jinchuriki, as he begins to explain the process to Sasuke and Sakura. Sasuke feels a little inferior knowing that Naruto has that much power, and all he needs to do is control it, and he could be one of the greatest shinobi of all time. While Sakura is amazed that the Nine Tails could be sealed inside of a human. Now caught up to speed, Team 7 will wait for Naruto to snap out of his meditation state so they could give him their support, per se. When he eventually does awaken, hours after they had stopped by and even fallen asleep there, he'd realized that these people really do care for him, growing so much more attached to his fellow teammates. Walking into his home, he'd make his way to a closet down the hall, where he'd grab some blankets, moving outside to where he would prepare to throw it over his teammates to see Kakashi wide awake, sitting reading his book. They'd have a small conversation of how Naruto's doing mentally, and it would end positively. Naruto would feel that he had kind of gotten to a point where he could subdue his opposite. Basically, just giving Kakashi some hope that this wouldn't happen again. He'd tell Naruto that he'd have to grind even harder to catch up with his team, with Naruto smirking and saying that he is confident that he will very quickly catch up with them. Kakashi would give his classic eye smile as Naruto proceeds throwing blankets over his teammates and throwing one towards Kakashi, who would catch it as Naruto would leave the room to have a little midnight snack, for he hadn't really eaten in days. As he entered the kitchen, he would see Konohamaru's mother, or Sarutobi's daughter, standing there as she has a bright smile on her face as she sees Naruto had finally awakened. She'd run towards him, embracing him in a warm hug as she says she'll quickly make him some things to eat. Naruto would blush and tell her that it's okay, he could make himself something, but she would persist. Another long conversation about Naruto's mental health would occur, with everyone being a tad more relieved that Naruto is okay. Naruto would make his way towards his room as he says he needs to go dress in some new clothes because his Anbu gear is a little dirty, as he basically throws them in the wash, or puts them aside to later be washed, should I say, as he basically fits into the clothes Sarutobi had given him a month prior. As he rounded the corner, his eye would flash black with a red pupil, as it would immediately return, running into Sarutobi, who had not yet slept, but had been awake this whole time. Yet another conversation would occur, which would be eventually interrupted by Asuma, who would offer to teach Naruto some jutsu, seeing as he had fallen behind his friends, per se. Naruto would accept, as Asuma would go through the quick hand signs for the wind bullet jutsu, which Naruto seemingly already knew. Asuma would be surprised, and Naruto would tell him that Konohamaru's dad had taught him long ago. Asuma would smirk and throw Naruto a kunai and said, "Well, I heard you know a lot about chakra control, so how about you channel wind chakra through that for me?" Naruto was stumped. He didn't really know how to do so. So, for the rest of the night, him and Asuma would practice this, with him actually getting it down in a single day, having split the paper, the leaf, and even enhanced the kunai. But that is going to be it, residents of the Mysta clan. I am sorry it ended on such a note. But yeah, next time we're going to be getting into Dark Naruto's story arc. So if you want to, be notified when that comes out, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell notification. Like to boost this on the YouTube algorithm, which might speed up the next part of this. And also, we're about to start a new series in What If Deku Had the Millennium Puzzle, a series where we delve into spirits and more, a collab between me and Zoku, of course. Go check out my main channel if you have not yet. And without further ado, this has been your boy Six. Peace.